2 visits from O'Sullivan in the second. Crisp. Terrific long pot. That was more like the one late on against Gary Wilson.
Six. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 6.
Now here's a gift for Mark Williams. Didn't see that one coming. It was quite a precise positional shot, so he put a lot of concentration into the positional side, a shake of the head. Yeah, hasn't, I agree with David, hasn't quite settled in at the moment, Ronnie.
Eight. 9.
The oldest ranking event winner, Ray Reardon, 50. Of course, Williams won the British Open earlier this season. He's since turned 49. But still, it's true of both. Play a young man's game, don't they? And actually have a sort of
60.
youthful outlook in general. I must admit, when I heard him interviewed before his first match with Tom Ford, and he was saying he'd been in China playing pool and didn't fancy his chances, I thought he'll play well this week. I'm not saying I thought he'd be in the final, but Mark is one of the great kidders in our sport. I think he was feeling good when he got here, actually.
25.
Just a hint short of pace, so how does he get the cue ball out of there? Gone deep. No man's
33.
land, it's no good. The yellow would be the only way to continue the break. And again, I know I've said it a few times, he's been aggressive so far. Do expect him to keep his foot to the pedal. Yeah, it's a nasty one with this long bridge. Added to the fact he doesn't have to play it. He's under no pressure to play it. This is what makes him dangerous. So just the fact he's taking it on, and the fact he gets it, obviously more so. I'm sure that many people would have done.
36.
He set his stall out. It's very clear. He's good to his word. He said he was going to attack. That's exactly what he's done.
$43. 44.
Maybe he just didn't like the contact there. Still on a red, but didn't quite finish as intended.
51.
Slightly hampered.
52.
Well, that yellow, he's already a big shot, isn't it, today? I mean, as I say,
59.
not that many would have taken it on or indeed potted it. But not everyone's like Mark Williams, are they?
$67. $68.
Yeah, taking the yellow one, it's almost like he's saying, I don't care I'm playing Ronnie O'Sullivan. I'm playing the best player ever. I don't care. I'm just going to take on my shots. And by the way, I'll be getting plenty of them. And most people are not like that. We know when you see that man in the
75.
corner facing you, coming next to the table.
76.
He's trying to free that red, but it's just finished awkward. He's had 4 centuries in the tournament, 3 in the semis.
There's the underarm shot. Piece of cake, isn't it?
$91.
It's not going to get there.
Mark Williams,
but
91.
A fine 91. He picked up when O'Sullivan broke down. The family happy so far. Crowd enjoying a terrific start to the final. To Manchester, one more frame before the first interval of the Tour Championship final. And fine 91 from Mark Williams there. Coming off an O'Sullivan miss. O'Sullivan's highest break so far, just 40.
Frame 4, Mark Williams to break. Foul and a miss. Mark Williams 4.
Yeah, I think Olivier Martil just checking the pack of reds, the one on the right, he might be able to see that full ball. He can't physically see it full ball. See it there, the one on the right there. If the other reds aren't there, he could see that, I think, full ball.
Mark.
So it's
Thank
worth
you.
noting, because Ronnie would be warned if he doesn't make contact this time. And that solves that problem. Funny the way both players' games have developed over the last 30 years. You think back to their early encounters, it'd be all guns blazing on both sides. But now it's a different way, isn't it? Trying to outsmart one another rather than outgun one another.
Holding the rest in the air here. Steady hand needed. Yeah, it was a sort of fiddly way of doing it, wasn't it? It's awkward. Yeah, just on what you were saying there, Alan. I mean, they didn't used to get on, these two, in their 20s, but they were big rivals then. They were younger, weren't they? You know, so much has happened since then. All that's put to one side. There's a lot of respect there. It's just a different sort of challenge as you get older.
Yeah, you don't respect all that many people when you're 20, 21, don't you? Certainly in snooker, you're going about your own business in a selfish way. That's, well, it's the best way, isn't it? How could you not respect one another, these two? So, out with the spider here, because he has to play a little swerve, a bit of left-hand side. Yeah, it wasn't quite on. Yeah, clearly not in stroke yet. I think in part because of, as David said, the way the stall has been set out today. He's finding it difficult to find the rhythm that we're used to. But Mark looks very dangerous. kind of getting on with it that bit quicker. Dangerous at the moment. He's the one that looks the most likely.
Well, he's not backing away
6.
for anything. He hasn't got everything, but his mindset hasn't changed. And I don't think it will all day. He's in again.
7. $14. 15. 22. 23.
Yeah, that was a poor one. Still on one. Cut back.
30.
Can he hold the cue ball shy of the baulk line?
$31.
Yeah, played it with a bit of check, a bit of left. That was a gorgeous little shot. The other thing was he didn't dwell on the disappointment of not being straighter on it. Got on with the job. In the mood today, Willow, no doubt about it.
$36. $37.
He's just so unfussy, isn't he, as a player? Gets round, gets behind each shot, and goes straight away. Beautiful shot again.
44. $45.
Yeah, I think the only thing complicated about Mark Williams are his hashtags on Twitter. If you follow him, you'll know what I mean. There's actually a chap who translates them for people. So part of, I think, the reason he's become such a popular player, not just a great player, but as a character. People have warmed to him, very down to earth. Safe, which helps as well. Just a bit of security in case he breaks down, but not much sign of that. He's on top at the moment.
61.
He's going for his shots and he's sort of saying to O'Sullivan, okay, I might have missed, but you're going to have to get yours because I'll be back in. And that's what happened in this frame.
No problem in playing a cannon. Doesn't really want to because looking for one more red. Doesn't want to leave this to chance. Oh, and it's gone wrong, barring a plant. Yeah, that will annoy him. He still has a double if he wants it, but
66.
want to take the red off the cushion, so to plant it is big shot. This. Yeah.
Mark Williams, 66.
Well, it's a useful lead, but he's not over the line. 70 in front. Still a possible 75 on. So these are important early moments in this final. He's annoyed. Very annoyed.
Yeah, the snooker sense of Mark Williams tells him here that he's just made a huge mistake. because he knows what Ronnie's like given the chance. He's under a bit of pressure to put this frame away. That'll do it. Great shot.
One.
Yeah, that might be the most important pot so far in some ways, because had he eventually lost that frame, that's an uncomfortable interval for Mark Williams. But as it is, he looks sure to be 3-1 up.
Yes, on that unconventional way that he is, he's not like the modern sportsman where
5.
last night he have a protein shake and a salad leaf. It's more a kebab and a can of pop. Game's been popping so far. He's in command of this final.
$13.
Yes, it's sort of the modern world and social media. A lot of people want to sort of craft an image, don't they, of what they would like people to think they are. He just is who he is. He's Mark Williams from South Wales, son of a miner who's reached the top of his chosen profession. And here we are
19.
against another legend, 33 years into their careers, still producing the goods. And O'Sullivan with a few things to think about. He's playing someone not intimidated by him, who's going for it today, and so far it's working.
24. 25. $32.
Well, save up the flukes, Mark, for when you might need them. This frame was already over. But just illustrating, really, the degree to which he's on top. And I think the important stat, really, in some ways, highest break for O'Sullivan, just 40, and he has had quite a few chances. Live pot success for O'Sullivan down at 81%. That's clearly got to go up.
45.
I think one of the best decisions Mark Williams ever made was a few years ago when he just accepted who he is. He's a snooker player, and that's what I'm going to be for the rest of my career. There was a time when he thought about
49.
hanging up the cue. He made the correct decision. Well, we all know that. I think it's important for him. The way that he's playing now is part of that. He's just accepted that he's one of the best there ever has been and ever
54.
will be. He's bossing it.
Well, there's a long way to go, obviously. Possible 15 frames remain. But we saw yesterday the way he went off into the distance against Mark Allen. And he holds the early advantage in the final against Ronnie O'Sullivan. As the players go to the first interval, it's Mark Williams leading by 3 frames to 1.
Race here in Manchester Central, and Mark Williams has his nose in front against Ronnie O'Sullivan. He leads by 3 frames to 1 as we get this one back underway. Ready to go through the next 4 frames, our 7-time world champion Stephen Hendry and commentator extraordinaire Phil Yates. But first, to reintroduce the players, here's Phil Seymour.
Will you please welcome back to the table your referee Olivier Martial and your finalists Mark Williams and Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Snooker's history man re-emerge. This is the generation game, but right now there's not been much on the conveyor belt for O'Sullivan. Things could, probably will change.
Please.
Olivier Martial, the referee, just waiting to announce the start of frame 5.
Thank you. Frame 5. Ronnie O'Sullivan to green.
Yeah, will the interval bring a change? Reaction from the Rocket, 84% pot success. Stat for that first 4 frames, and more interestingly for me, is average shot time 21 seconds as opposed to Mark Williams 18. So it just shows you Ronnie's not found any of his rhythm so far in his final. I wonder if he can pot this red and flick the red away from the black. Or he's just bringing the cue ball back to baulk. Yeah, he's playing the flick on the red. He got the cannon. But more importantly, He missed the red. What a gift for Ronnie to find that rhythm.
One. Eight. Nine.
Good shot. This black's missable though. Cue ball close to the side cushion. Especially raising the part of the cue in the air as he is. Even down in the cue ball. That's beautifully cued. It's probably the best shot he's hit all afternoon actually.
16. Seventeen.
But much like the previous black, there's pressure on this one.
How early should we go, Phil? That's 3 reds, 3 blacks.
24.
It certainly would be some way to introduce yourself to this final. Little cannon on the 3 reds. We'll leave 1 to left corner. He decided to go into the main bunch, and that is absolutely perfect. 4 reds, 4 blacks, and if he's on one of these reds to corner, he'll be playing position on the black for the foreseeable future.
$33.
He has compiled a 147 against Williams before. Last 16 of the World Championship in 2008.
41.
No specific prize on offer for a maximum, but
48.
the high break of the tournament so far is 142. And if you make the highest break in the event, you receive £10,000.
49.
That's not a good shot. You can tell by the reaction, the body language. Pretty much dead straight in this black, just off straight the wrong way as well. So,
56.
yes, a bit subdued, I think is the right word for Ronnie this afternoon so far. Doesn't look like he's, you know, it's like a coiled spring around the table. It's walking around pretty slowly. Not really got into this final yet. The amount of times when he's on it, the amount of times he finishes straight in the black, and we can count on one hand in a season if he's on it. He took a minute to think of the shot, and it was worth the wait.
$64.
Well, unfortunately, that's the
65.
147 of the way, but he'll be just concentrating on winning this frame, as I say, trying to get into this final, trying to impose himself on it. Hasn't done so far. It's been all about Mark Williams, really.
70.
After just 6 minutes, though, we've arrived at frame ball.
71.
And this frame, okay, he's made a few misjudgments, but it's been a vast improvement on anything pre-interval for the Rockies.
$78. 79. $86. 87.
He might have won £1,155,000 this season, but he wants another 10 grand. And who can blame him?
95.
The double way off, but that's just what O'Sullivan required to get the juices flowing. Mark Williams now leads only 3-2. Ronnie O'Sullivan has made 1,258 centuries in professional competition. That one, in frame 5, was particularly useful.
Thank you. Frame 6. Mark Williams to break.
Mark Williams has come up against O'Sullivan enough to know that the one thing you have to try and protect against is O'Sullivan getting on one of those extraordinary rolls when he wins 3, 4, 5 frames in no time. I came up with a cliche earlier this week in a different context. I'll say it again. Intervals change matches.
Yeah, making century breaks sharpens the focus and gets you interested, gets you enjoying being out there again. Highest break pre-interval was only 40. But winning frames in one visit, that's what inspires you. He's an inspirational player, Ronnie Sullivan. Sometimes he needs like a genius shot, or say like a century, just to get the juices flowing.
5.
Change of momentum will play a huge part in this final. Both players will have their good times when they can reel off 2, 3, maybe 4 frames in a row.
12.
No one does that better than the man at the table.
13.
Could turn this final on its head in 20, 30 minutes.
20. 21. 28.
28.
Mark would have known. He would have expected a reaction
29.
after the interval. He would know that Ronnie wouldn't keep playing the way he was for the whole of this final. So this will be no surprise to him, but it's just a little of this first session, first 8-frame session, it's just a little worrying time for Mark. A little bit lucky there, Ronnie. Didn't play that shot well. Didn't get a red full in the face.
35.
But even the snooker gods would never upset O'Sullivan.
Yeah, when you play the split off the blue, you don't want to get a full in the face, and the cue ball's running wild to each side of the table. You're relying on a little bit of luck to be on a red.
42.
He got that little run of the ball, and he's in prime position
43.
to win the frame again in one visit. Another very unlike O'Sullivan positional shot there. Cue ball's kind of in no man's land. Played for the blue.
Stretching with side. Those who clapped in the audience did so from a position of knowledge. That was a good shot.
$46.
Again, I'm not sure, maybe the cushions are playing a little bit lively, because he's overhitting. When he's having to use position off a cushion, I've never seen him overhit so many shots. So the table may be playing a little bit bouncy. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt,
Thank you.
because it's not often he plays
52.
two bad positional shots in a row.
53.
That was beautifully controlled. It may have to play that are touching each other to the right, the pink. May play a tiny little cannon on those. Well, you wouldn't bet against second century in a row now.
The red he's looking at will squeeze past the pink, but he was looking for alternatives, just in case.
$65. $66.
Williams worked hard for his 3-1 lead. It's been erased in 15 minutes.
73. $80.
These two first played in the 1994 Welsh Open. That year, John Major was Prime Minister.
81.
Bill Clinton lived in the White House. Nelson Mandela swept to power in South Africa. The world changes, but one constant, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Potts balls.
86.
The
87.
phrase "don't poke the bear" springs to mind. Williams winning that first little session 3-1.
$93. 94.
As I said, none of this will come as a surprise to Mark Williams. He would know that in this final, Ronnie O'Sullivan is going to have times like this. Magnificent start to the second mini session from Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's found a gear.
102. 105.
O'Sullivan's 5th century in the tournament, and Williams is an opponent that on 2 occasions he's made
109.
5 centuries against in a single match.
$114. $120.
Snooker's a Rolls Royce has left the garage. It's 3-3. Mark Williams was 3-1 ahead at the mid-session interval, with cause for optimism. Still has, I suppose, but he hasn't potted a ball since the restart. O'Sullivan with breaks of 102 and 127 has achieved parity in style.
Not sure if the red, it's very close to the black, goes to the left corner. If it does, he'll probably play for that one now. No, he decided to play for the one in the open. But he'll be looking to get rid of that red from the black as soon as possible.
5.
And once again, a positional shot using the cushion. He's hit too hard.
That was a big bounce, I was watching in particular.
I would still say he hit it too hard because only for the reason that Ronnie adapts to tables better than anyone I've ever seen. But it does become really tricky if the table is playing like that. Play that into perfection. If that red pots, he may not go into the bunch here. I want to get rid of that red because it's a nuisance. The reason I say he might not go into the bunch because it could tie up the black completely. The reds could go towards the black. It's a beautiful angle in the blue to play the split. Yeah, just getting rid of that nuisance red first.
11. $12.
Full power. You'll be very annoyed at that shot.
90.
Again, most un-O'Sullivan-like, that shot.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 19.
Takes his points without reply to 248. But as Stephen said, aggrieved to leave the table. Williams down quickly to see whether a plant had been left. They might not be set on, but it's certainly makeable. In fact, from behind the pocket, it looks very inviting. Snookered. Has to be really delicate here. And with awkward bridging as well.
Yellow ball. Mark Williams, 1.
If Danny's not going in on a regular basis, the trophy engraver might be tempted to start work. That was beautifully cued.
Yeah, scoring, heavy scoring.
6.
Sullivan's close to 1,300 centuries. Is his biggest weapon. In pre-interval, he wasn't doing that.
7.
As we've said, 40 was his highest break. 2 centuries since this second mini session started, and it just transforms his game. Along with the score now, his long potting's come alive. His cue ball's getting more and more precise. A little worrying time in this final for Mark Williams. From being 3-1 up, he could lose this session in a heartbeat.
$20.
Even though he's got a choice of 2 reds, he wasn't happy with how precise that positional shot was. Tends to deal in millimetres of precision, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
$28. 29. $36. 37. $43. 44.
The frame is over again in no time. Now O'Sullivan can turn to making a hat-trick of centuries.
52.
By the way, he's done everything in the game, but he's never made 4 in succession. After that,
58.
probably won't be making 3. Little flag.
Ronnie 59.
A break of 59. Since the interval, Mark Williams has potted 1 ball. Ronnie O'Sullivan now in front at 4-3.